Is it possible to combo off and win a game of Standard by blinking our team a bunch of times with another round? That's what we're going to find out today. So here is our another round combo deck. In a lot of ways, this deck feels sort of like getting back to our roots on Against the Odds. It is a super value-y, blinky Panharmonicon deck with kind of a combo finish built in thanks to another round. So I am really excited to give this deck a shot. So let's talk about this deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, see it in action. So our key card, the card we're built around, is Another Round. Another Round, one of the more unique cards from Outlaws at Thunder Junction. It is a 3 and XX sorcery that says exile any number of target creatures you control, then return to the battlefield under their owner's control, then repeat this process X times. So when that pretty big wall attacks, what Another Round really says is trigger any number of your creatures enter the battlefield triggers X times. For 3 mana, we trigger them all once. For 5 mana, we do it twice. For 7 mana, 3 times, so on and so forth. And this can get really out of hand with a board full of creatures with ETB triggers. We also have Nahiri's Resolve. It's kind of a backup version of Another Round. It's another card that can blink out our entire team. There's some upsides and downsides. Nahiri's Resolve is an enchantment that triggers on our end step. We can blink out any of our creatures that we want to, and they come back on our next upkeep with haste. So the big deal about Nahiri's Resolve, really good against control decks, because we can blink out our entire team, and if our opponent has Farewell or Sunfall or Deadly Cover-Up, any sweeper, sorcery, speed removal, they just don't do anything because our creatures won't be there. The problem with Nahiri's Resolve, pretty bad against creature decks and aggro decks, because we can't afford to like blink out our entire team and have no blockers or we just die. So Nahiri's Resolve, really good against control and a nice backup to Another Round. Another Round, probably at its worst against control, honestly. Like, it's still great against control. The problem against control, it's just a sorcery that our opponent can counter. If we dump a bunch of mana into it, our opponent can just like negate or make disappear it. But it does leave our creatures behind on defense, which is nice. So those are our big blink engines. Then of course, we got Elishnorn, Mother of Machines, is our Panharmonicon, just to double up our ETB triggers. So what are we blinking and triggering in this deck? So like any good Panharmonicon deck, we got a ton of card draw. Novice Inspector makes a clue that draws a card. Spirited Companion, Sanctuary Warden just straight up draw cards. Combat Thresher, really cute, draws a card with its ETB, and then when we blink it, it comes back as a 3/3 double striker. And then Kazula Spiker doesn't technically draw a card, but Scry 2 and Gain 2 is almost like drawing a card. Plus it's main deck Graveyard Hate, which is really relevant against some decks. Then we have our mana engine. Ambitious Farmhand hits our land drops. Claim Jumper, we'll see if it works, but if we're behind on lands, we get to tutor out of planes when it ETBs. If we're really behind on lands, we can tutor out 2 planes, so it can be rampant our Boros deck. We'll see if it's consistent enough, but I really wanted to give it a try and see if it worked. Then we have our big finishing plan. So our best finisher in this deck is Terror of the Peaks. Terror of the Peaks, whenever another creature ETBs, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So you probably see where this is going. We build a big board of Jinky, Claim Jumpers, and Spirited Companions, and whatever, Combat Thrashers, and then we play Terror of the Peaks. We play another round, blink all of our team 2 or 3 times, and just burn our opponent out of the game with this massive stack of damage triggers. If we don't have Terror of the Peaks, Tyrannic Ridge pretty good, 4 damage with its ETB, we can blink it a bunch, Panharmonic on it, and then a Tally is just an immense amount of value. It steals a card from our opponent's deck, gives us a card from our deck, they're both free. In our Dream World, we like spin into another round and blink it and do it again, and just like totally overwhelm our opponent with a Tally value. For removal, we have Get Lost, mana base, pretty typical stuff outside of Arid Archway, which is hopefully going to help us turn out our Claim Jumper to be ramped by letting us bounce one of our own lands. But like I said, we'll have to see if that actually works. In the sideboard, a bunch of removal and sweepers for aggro, for control, Invasion of Gabakhan, even Interrupter, some Graveyard Hate, Lorna the Third Path, and that is Another Round for Standard. And that's our Against the Odds deck for this week. So let's jump into some games and see if we can blink and Panharmonic on our way to victory with another round. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Against the Odds time, we are playing some, oh boy, it's an expensive hand. I think should be all right though. We do have the Combat Thresher to redraw, and this hand is really powerful if we hit our lands. We are playing some Another Round combo in Standard. Basically like Boros, Fabrication Foundry. All right, opponent, artifacts by the looks. Well, Combat Thrasher, thrash us your land. All right, well done, Combat Thrasher. You can stay in the deck. Oh God, Simulacrum Synthesizer. That's not great. Well, Yeah, we did mention this hand's a little on the expensive side. Novice Inspector. Crack the clue. Draw a card. Land. Okay, I mean, we're getting everything we asked for. Can it beat a Simulacrum Synthesizer? That is another question. Opponent. Land. Thran Spider and a Construct, and it's big. Yeah, Simulacrum Synthesizer, if you can't kill it, it's tough. Let's get down to Hiri's Resolve here. I think our best plan for winning is going to be getting down to Terror of the Peaks and just like blinking our board to snipe our opponent and their stuff. Nahiri's Resolve, it's not another round, but it is a nice backup. And against, oh god, Collector's Cage? And against control decks, it can be even better. Hiding away a card with a cage, and playing a taupe. And those are a couple of 10-10s on turn 4. Sure. Collector's Cage. All right, yep. And, no, seriously? And the early GG opponent. How do you know we don't have a Wrath in hand? That GG is infuriating. We get to draw 2 cards. I mean, we don't have a Wrath in our deck, so they are right, but still, where's your manners, opponent? And after complaining about our opponent saying GG, we will concede. Still, they shouldn't have said it. All right, what do we have that's good against artifacts? Definitely Lauren. Not a ton, really, honestly. I would say that last game, we can try the Interrupters, maybe. Just, are they even worth it? Maybe an Interrupter. I think that last game was like in the 90th percentile of our opponent's draws, and we had a hand that was pretty slow for the matchup. So I don't think it's always going to be that bad. On to game number 2, we are on the plate, and okay. This hand's a little bit cheaper. That's good. Opponent. How about no Simulacrum Synthesizer? Although actually, sticking Elishnorn just locks Synthesizer, right? It's always a challenge to keep Elishnorn alive, but if we can keep it alive, opponent, Cheaty Land, Tranquil Cove, well, hit you for 1. Pass the turn. Our hand's getting expensive again. Opponent, land. And I guess we can play the bounce land without discarding the hand size. Pick up the planes. So next turn we have 5 mana. The bounce land probably looks weird, but it is cute with a Claim Jumper. I've never actually made it work, but someday. Opponent, Braided Net. All right, our opponent's draw a little bit less scary than last game. I think we actually just play Nahiri's Resolve here. Nahiri's Resolve, once it's on the battlefield, is just so much value. Wow, they're gonna tap down the Spirited Companion. Okay, well, we're gonna blink it. It will return. I mean, that's the thing about synthesizer decks, right? When you have a synthesizer, the decks feel busted. When you don't have a synthesizer, you're playing a bunch of stuff. Sometimes it does things, a lot of times it doesn't. Well, Spirited Companion, gonna return with haste. Draws a card. All right, Surveil Land and Mountain. Let's see if our opponent does anything here. Kind of hoping they like fire up a creature land to try to block. All right. Well, play the Surveil Land. I mean, I don't even know if we need it technically with the Nahiri's Resolve, but we did come here to another round. Well, let's play the Elishnorn and see if it gets countered. It's just an Elishnorn. All right, there's the 3 steps ahead. I know it looks weird to play it post-combat, but basically, attacking first, maybe it's not likely to work out. But the idea is if we attack first, maybe our opponent like taps their mana to interact, and then we can get the Elishnorn through the counter. In the end, our opponent saw right through that plan. Opponent, land, and Steel Seraph. Well, there's bad news, opponent. We have an Etali, and we're going to play it. And then we're going to blink it, and then we're going to blink it. And Etali's kind of ridiculous. So we get back our Spirited Companion, draw a card. It's another round. Another round, not going to do anything yet, but it will do things in the future. Let's play the planes. Get down our Etali. Spin it to win it, spin it to win it. You're going to tap it? You're going to do a little tappy-tappy? I mean, it makes sense. It does have haste. We find... Ooh, Mysterious Limo's actually hilariously good here. Wow! This is the first time I've ever had a Mysterious Limo, and it's going to be insane. We get to blink the Etali that our opponent tapped down, and then we can crew. Wow, that is like maybe the single best hit in the format. Then we can crew it for 2. And then when it attacks, we exile another creature, which can be the Steel Seraph. And then we get back our Etali. Does this work the way I want it to? Is Mysterious Limousine actually good? Ooh, who's got the synthesizer now, opponent? Who's got the synthesizer now? Aven Interrupter, Simulacrum Synthesizer. Do a little scrying. Tyrannicare Ridges seems pretty good, although, honestly, at this point, I feel like we might just be winning. Yeah, that Italian hit was hilarious. Blink it all. Not the limo. That seems like a bad idea. What do you got? Scoops it up. Oh, and a good game to you, of course, opponent. I couldn't resist. Let's run it back. Oh, well, those were two games that were not close. Game 1, we were just blown out. Game 2, we got to the blowing out. I will say, it's more fun when you're on the blowing out side. Given the choice, I'd rather be the blower out E rather than the blower outer. Does that sound right? All right, opponent. Land. Well, we'll play a Surveil land, and we have enough mana, especially with the ambitious Farmhound. So we'll put it to the graveyard. Opponent. Lonely Yarrow. Crime land. Well, land and Spirited Companion. Draw a land. All right, I'm glad we surveilled away the land. We're hitting all of our lands here. Opponent. Fabrication Foundry. Well, let's do some ambitious salt farming. Grab a plains and do a little surveilling. I don't think we like farming that much. Get in for one. A little bit too ambitious. I mean, now we're doing such a good job of hitting lands. Ooh, Tinker's Tote. Doing such a good job of hitting lands. Did they miss a land drop? Oh boy. This might be bad for our opponent. We're doing such a good job hitting lands. We don't really need more of them. Claim Jumper. I don't know if Claim Jumper is worth it in this deck or not. It seems so sweet when it works. I've been messing around and like testing the deck and building it. I have not got it to work yet. So we'll see. We'll see if it works in any of our games. If not, it might be worth cutting. Well, let's go into comment. The hope is it works with the bounce land, like we're a Richard Commander deck. Get in and hit you. Found it. Wow. Double blocking the Novice Inspector. Sure. I mean, the Here's Resolve is great. We can also just, like, our opponent's not doing much, so we can also just kind of playing around it by adding to the board here. So, play the Farmhand, play the Novice Inspector. The other thing about Claim Jumper is, even when it's bad, and that's kind of often, but even when it's not ramping, it's still a 3-mana 3/3 with Vigilance. Like, it's not a horrible creature. All right, opponent, what do you got? Annex Sentry. Well, let's crack a clue. Ooh, Terror of the Peaks is kind of good here. Opponent, gonna get rid of the Claim Jumper. There's our bounce land. Opponent's still functioning on 2 lands. Yeah, let's just go Nahiri's Resolve value. Hard to pass it up. No attacks, and we will just blink most things. I think we leave behind 1 Ambitious Farmer just in case we want to do some blocking. Plus, we're going to have all the planes out of our deck, so its ETB is not going to do anything anymore. Opponent, land number 3, Thousand Moons Smithy. Well, there comes the Constructs, and there's the attack, and you know what? I guess we won't block after all. Let's get back our dorks. So we get to Ambitious Farm, and make a clue, and draw a card. All for free. Nahiri's Resolve, when it sticks out, can be very good. It is tricky. You got to be not too far behind on board. Well, let's play a Terror of the Peaks and then do some ambitious farming. We can snipe the token, I guess. No more planes to find. We do get to get in with the Terror of the Peaks, and I think this is just going to be game, right? If we just blink out literally everything. All right, opponent. 17 us, friend. 17 us if you can. Otherwise, I mean, this is just game, right? Everything. Oh, there's the synthesizer. Good thing we're gonna win next turn, or else our opponent would start making some really big constructs. I mean, I think this does it though, because everything comes back. Everything has haste. We got the Terror of the Peaks. About it. Combat hits us down to 5, but now Here's Resolve. They come back. Big pile of triggers. Terror of the Peaks. Might as well kill the Annex Sentry, because we get back the Claim Jumper anyway, and opponent scoops it up, and, well, Nahiri's Resolve instead of another round, but still a pretty sweet Blinkwid. It is another round time, seeing if we can blink our way to some super janky combo kills, I guess. I don't even know if I want to call this a combo deck. It's like combo-y, combo-ish. It can be combo-y. It can also not be combo-y. I'm probably going to regret keeping this hand, but we came here to play another round, right? Like, I don't know. When it comes to against the odds decks, if we're built around a specific card and we have the card in our hand, even if the rest of the hand's kind of janky, it's hard to pass it up. Just because we want to see that card do cool things. Opponent Rona, eh? Well, let's play a mountain, and I think we just get rid of the Rona. Get rid of the Rona, pass the turn. We do need some cheap things to go with another round. Like, yes, another Rona tally would be sweet, but that is infinity away. That's centuries in the future. There we go. Novice Inspector is kind of perfect. Like, we can play it, we can get the clue, we can crack the clue, and then eventually another round it to make even more clues. Opponent's probably like the 5-color legend. Yeah, okay. I don't know what our opponent's doing. Up the Beanstalk. I was thinking it was something like the deck that Kibler played at the Pro Tour, like 5-color legends, but I don't think that deck normally plays Up the Beanstalk, so something spicy. Opponent land and passes down to 19. I think we just play the bounce land. We can't really, we're not going to just another round of single Novice Inspector. That is not worthy of another round. So I think we just wait, pick up the bounce land. Next turn we can get down Elesh Norn, perhaps. Another Plaza and a Shrew and Hazoret, okay. Well, that's a little frightening. We do not technically have a removal spell for that. Theoretically, we can kill it with a Ganjo, which would be nice. We gotta just play the Elesh Norn and hope they can't kill it. 5-color Legends doesn't have a lot of removal. And a lot of the removal they do have is creature ETB based, like Urtai. So maybe Elesh Norn just sticks and blocks the Drew and Hazoret and they whiff. Ancient Cornucopia. Oh. Wait, what is our opponent doing? Okay, go for the throw. I'm a little confused how they're playing a lot of non-creatures, non-legends in a Drew and Hazoret deck, that's for sure. All right, whiff. That would be fitting. Or Joda. Okay, well, removal, please, I guess, or we're probably dead. There's a Joda. Triggers up the... Ooh, opponent is... Wow, all right, we gotta get lost, which is something. Our opponent is... They're doing something. They're doing something. Oh, I have no idea what they're up to. I feel like the Shrew and Hazoret should be whiffing though. Up the Beanstalk, Ancient Cornucopia, go for the throw. Even just that's a lot of non-legends. Could use a whiff. I mean, we can get down a tally next turn. The question is, are we still in the game next turn? Unfortunate that we had to kill the Joda. It would have been nice to get rid of the Shrew and Hazoret, which is kind of, come on. Also not great. Although it could be worse. I'd rather face down like a Ratadrobic, I think, than, I don't know, an Atrox or something, at least immediately. So we can block here and we can catch back up next turn with this Etali. Opponent, Ancient Cornucopia. And, oh God. Oh no. Well, speaking of Atroxa, just in hand. All right, well, let's do a little scrying, gain a little life. I don't even know what we're looking for here. Terror of the Peaks is good. I don't know if anything we do matters at this point. Even if we kill our opponent's stuff. Wait, is that 0 legends? Andy Kellen? I knew it. I knew it. How do they keep hitting with Drew and Hazoret when they can't even hit a single legend with Atroxa? Oh, opponent. And Tornation Vista. Oh no. The worst part of this, I'm laughing with our opponent because they are smacking us right now. I'm not laughing at them. Like, whatever they're doing, it's working and we're conceding. It doesn't make sense on paper. It does not make sense on paper, but they just kind of wrecked us. Let's bring in the Aurelius Vindicator. Maybe a no witnesses. Go down these claim jumpers. The more games that go by, The more I'm thinking Claim Jumper is just not worth it. I still has not ramped as a single time, right? I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's just not consistent enough. If we had more bounce lands, maybe. Yeah, let's bring in things that can kill big stuff. Bring in the sweepers. And then I guess just go down the Claim Jumpers and then just do some trimming to make all this work. All right, on to game number 2. We are on the play against a wild pile of 5-colored legends, I guess. 5-color stuff. We'll play first. This hand seems pretty reasonable, actually. I am very scared of our opponent's deck because who knows what it could have in it. We know it's got a lot of big, bomby legends. Opponent. I still can't believe that Tarnation Vista is actually... No way. No way. How are they turning it on? I keep an eye on that. Let's see. I want to see if our opponent's deck can actually realistically make mana with Tarnation Vista. Is it worth the Mythic Wild card? I have not seen... This is the first time I think I've seen anyone play Tarnation Vista. I know I always say, like, lands that make 2 mana, you know, are broken. They're almost always broken. Tarnation Vista to me looks safe, but I don't know. Mox Amber looked like the worst Mox ever, and that card ended up being broken in some decks, so maybe someone will figure out a way how to make Tarnation Vista actually work. Mount it. Plaza of Heroes and an Ancient Cornucopia. Well, that's Spirited Companion. Draw a card. We're going to get another round at some point. It would be best with a Terror of the Peaks down. Then it's probably like a lethal another round. We can also get down the Nahiri's Resolve, opponent land, and another Ancient Cornucopia. Another Ancient Cornucopia. I don't know, opponent's got 3 Cornucopias, but I'm not sure that's actually enough. In our experience, what do we need, like 30? 30 Ancient Cornucopias, then you got a deck. 30 is the proper number. Well, let's get down the Nahiri's Resolve, blink everything, get in some extra damage. Nahiri's Resolve might be good in this matchup. I could imagine our opponent's deck having sweepers. I can imagine our opponent's deck having literally anything. Name a card in Standard, and by God, it might be in there. 5 colors, Cornucopias, legend stuff, like, it could be anything. Like a Bonnie Paw. Bonnie Paw, gain 6. I mean, that's a big one. That is a big one. Babe and Bonnie. Well, we get to draw 2, and we get to get a land out of our deck. This is where our deck feels really sweet. Once you get the loop set up, where you're just like blinking and blinking, it's so much value. Novice Inspector, Invasion of Gabakon. We do need to play around this Bonnie Paw. I mean, I guess we can get down Terror of the Peaks, right? And start blinking with Terror out, and then just sniping stuff. Get down the Terror of the Peaks. Unfortunately, Bonnie Paul does have reach. We do get to play the Novice Inspector in Pina for 2. The question's going to be, do we blink everything? Or do we need to leave a blocker back? The more we blink, the more damage we get with Terror. But we don't want to die. I mean, we're definitely blinking most things. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So a little less damage, but we can just chump block and soak up like 6 damage if we need to. I don't think we necessarily need to. It depends on what our opponent plays. If our opponent plays some Atraxa or something, then we might need to just be like, oh god, we gotta, or Drew and Hazoret with haste. Oh, please no. Pound it. Getting in with Babe. And no land put into play. Well, in that case, we'll just take the 6. If our opponent doesn't have interaction, I think we just combo off with another round and win. Pound it up the beanstalk. I mean, if our opponent hadn't been gaining Cornucopia life, we would have definitely win. So we're gonna have to wait. Did they choose not to gain life? Oh, are they gonna cast another spell? Oh, I see. I see. Saying no so they can gain more life with the Honest Rutstein. Huh. Well, let's get all of our stuff back. Hopefully we still just win here. Let's see. So, do we need to snipe things? Let's snipe the Rutstein. Snipe the Bonnie Paw. Snipe the Bonnie Paw. Get a land. Draw a card. Draw another card. Snipe, 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 snipe. Novice Inspector. let's Gabacon. Let's play it safe. We can Gabacon, and then we can still another round X2 this turn, and the next turn, okay, just a Relic Legends, that's fine. So we can still another round X2, or I guess it's X1, but it'll blink twice. And then next turn, we get the Nahiri's Resolve, and we know the coast is clear for a lethal another round. Our opponent can protect the Bonnie Paw. Maybe we just should have thrown all the damage at our opponent's face. Well, blink them all. They come back. Let's go for another round. Blink them all. They come back, and now we get the big pile of triggers. We are gonna throw one at the Bonnie Paw. Hit your face. I think we flipped the Gabacon. We're not winning this turn anyway, so we might as well clean up the board a little bit, get a little protection. Well, let's get our last planes. The value's so sweet once it gets going. Out of lands define, get a clue, draw, draw. And then pinging for 2 a bunch of times. We definitely did not win here. Ancient Cornucopia, that card, busted. Well, opponent's gonna save the Bonnie Paw, snipe ya. I'm pretty sure even if we threw, actually, you know what, we might have punted. If we threw every bit of damage at our opponent's face, we need to kill Honest Rutstein. We could have thrown 6 more damage at our opponent's face. Yeah, we definitely punted. Because then we could have just hasted in with Nahiri's Resolve. And yeah, our opponent would kill the Terror of the Peak, so we would have had lethal. I mean, in the grand scheme, it's not going to matter. I'm like 99% sure. But yeah, as they say, why win now when you can win a turn from now? I got so excited that we got such a big pile of value. I didn't bother to think through exactly how much damage we had. I was actually just thinking it was lethal no matter what we did, but not quite that much damage. The downside of all of our creatures being 1 powered, or I guess even when the Nahiri's Resolve 2 powered, I can't see how our opponent actually gets out of this though. They put a land into play and scoop it up. Well, maybe not as clean as we wanted, but pretty sweet win at least. 1 more to go against this wild pile of value, I guess. I don't think we're going to change a whole lot. Going up the second Wrath, basically, and just running it like that. I'm terrified of our opponent's deck, but then last game it went super easy. So is their deck more like game 1, where it was just like kind of absurd, or game 2 where we just kind of crushed them? I don't really know. Opponent leads on a tap land. We will start with a Novice Inspector. We do need to hit our lands, but we have a ton of redraws, 2 Novice Inspectors and a Spirited Companion. So I mean, we should hit them eventually, right, opponent? Up the beanstalk. Well, there's another round, which could be sweet eventually. Let's play another Novice Inspector. Make another clue. Another round of clues, you might say. About it. Untaps and Plaza of Heroes and Relic of Legends. Well, there is a land. Surveil first, then draw. Draw, then surveil. I guess we just surveil first? I don't know if it really matters in the grand scheme of things. Since we can't play the card we draw this turn anyway. No witnesses. That's going to go graveyard. Well, let's run out the Spirited Companion. And Tyrant of Kir Ridges. Well, now I kind of wish we drew and then surveilled. I think I'd rather have the no witnesses than the Tyrant at the moment. I mean, right now, we're not really under any meaningful pressure. Is our opponent playing 4 Cornucopias and also Relic of Legends? Well, that's a Zhruin Hazoret. They must not have got the message about 3-mana mana rocks being bad. Well, okay. Ambitious Farmhand's actually kind of nice here. We get to get a plane, so we hit our land drop, and then we can get lost the Zhruin Hazoret, make sure that's not gonna do its thing. And then I guess, hopefully we just hit a land and get down Elishnorn. That would be the most ideal. Elishnorn would also shut down some shenanigans like Atraxa. Our opponent drawing another hand with Atraxa would be not optimal. Another Relic of Legends. And passes. Ugh. Alright, well, Spirited Companion, draw a card. Another round, crack the clue, draw a card. Well, okay. I mean, we're going to have our lands for next turn, but we're like super duper shields down at the moment, which is disconcerting. Nothing big. There's the Atraxa. Yeah, not being able to get down the Elesh Norn last turn is going to be a big issue. So opponent gets removal, Zhuan Hazard, and a land. And another Up the Beanstalk. And they can make mana with the Wreck of Legends. Ooh, we might be in trouble. I mean, we can do another round stuff. We can actually another round. Double blink everything, but all that really does is draw a ton of cards. We really needed the Elesh Norn on the battlefield pre-Atraxa, because now we can play the Elesh Norn, but there's already an Atraxa, and the Atraxa found to go for the throat. So we know the Elesh Norn's just gonna die. Yeah, we might be in trouble here. Well, let's surveil away the Pauler. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just gotta try to draw into some removal. Like, I'm not sure what else we can do. So another round, twice. Yeah, that one turn of missing. Well, we didn't even miss our land drop, but we had to spend our turn digging to find our land drop. That one turn might come back to bite us this match just because of the Atraxa. Blink them all again. It returns again. Big pile of triggers. So 2 lands, 4 clues, 4 cards. Thin the deck a bit. I mean, we're going to have our lands for days now. Like, that's not going to be a concern. But there's already an Atraxa. So we're hoping to hit, I guess, a bunch of removal, ideally. Well, there's a Get Lost. Invasion of Gobakhan. But the Plaza. Not only does our opponent have the Plaza, but we know our opponent, you see some people, they don't really think about their plazas very much. They just like tend to use them as lands, and then once in a while it's like, oh, I don't got anything to do, so I'm gonna leave my plaza up. Our opponent already like used their plaza in game number 1 of this match. So you know our opponent's someone who knows, like, considers plaza to be part of their game plan. It's not just like, oh, it's a great dual lander for my deck. The protection mode actually seems to be something that our opponent considers. So I'm a little worried, based on how they played game 1, that they're going to focus on protecting this Atraxa with the plazas. If they do that, Atraxa's tough to beat. If you can't kill the Atraxa, it is a 7/7 flying lifelinker. Rona, pretty good with all the Relic of Legends. So our opponent still has a lot of mana, and Atraxa has Vigilance, so he can still tap that for mana too. I mean, we do have enough mana that we can just slam a tally. Hope for the best. Opponent gets and hits us. Down to 13. Opponent goes back up to 17. Are they running out the... We're actually just hoping they tap down to play something. So opponent does have Plaza mana up. What can we do here? So we can play the land for sure. So we can Invasion of Gobakhan, try to just like get some information, slow our opponent down. They have so much mana though, it's not gonna do a ton. Like they just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have so much mana. Like even taking Zhuan Hazard, they can still just cast it if they want to. We could another round blink everything to try to hit more removal. We could try to Get Lost, hope our opponent doesn't plaza. We could Elesh Norn double Invasion of Gobakhan. We could Elesh Norn try to Get Lost. We can just leave up the Get Lost and see if our opponent ever taps down, but they have so much mana. We might just have to spin a tally. That might be the only option. Maybe we hit our own Atraxa. Could be anything. Could even be an Atraxa. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we got to do. Spin it to win it. Spin it to win it. This also sets us up, if it lives, for ridiculous another round next turn. Rata-Drobic Destroy Evil. Ooh. How much mana does our opponent still have? Too much mana? So if we do this right, so we cast Rata-Drobic first, so it resolves last. Destroy Evil the Atraxa. Do they have enough mana? Do they have enough mana that they can kill the Atali and protect the Atraxa? They need to kill the Atali before the Rata-Drobic resolves, right? Or else then we just get a copy of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I think they have exactly enough. Opponent rewarded for leaving up 6 mana. The perfect number for this situation. Go for the throat on the Atali, and then they can tap both their creatures in Plaza. Come on, opponent, don't think about it. Just let it die. Oh yeah, opponent. I mean, this does put our opponent down to mana, I guess. Got him. Stone Rain in standard. We might as well attack. Cannot do anything else. We'll leave back the ambitious farmhand just in case. So we gotta draw removal. We gotta draw a second removal spell. Or does our opponent tap down and leave this Plaza? Like, if we can get rid of the Atraxa, the game goes on. If they can just protect the Atraxa for one more turn after this, we just die to Atraxa beats opponent. I mean, I guess we could try to Tyrant to just chump for a turn, although that's not a great plan either. Maybe it works, but if they have any removal spell, it won't. Can also go digging with the Rona if they want to. Well, I will say, this has been a wild, wow. Flipping the Rona. I mean, flipped Rona is sweet. We don't want to block it or they get to cast something from our hand for free, which would be bad, but the problem is this isn't lethal. Like, it hits us for a lot of damage, but their clock is actually literally exactly the same as if they just eject for the Troxa. It's still going to take them 2 turns to kill us. Yeah. So down to 1. So opponent has 1, 2, 3. They have exactly enough mana to save the Atraxa. Gobakons do nothing. Elishnorn does nothing. Like I said, we could try to Tyrant, although that gets worse now that this Rona's flipped and a real threat too. Although the Rona, at least we could just throw the entire team in front of if we had to. We might just have to, like, another round once. Just blink everything once. Draw 2 more cards, see if we can hit, like, another get lost maybe. That would do it. Because then we kill the Atraxa in response to the Plaza activation. Well, all right, Magic Gods. It is another round good enough to save us from Atraxa. Here they come. Trigger, 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 trigger. Grab a land. Actually, I don't think we have any lands left. You know, we have 1 land left. Grab a land in the deck. Clue, clue. Not helpful. Come on, Spirited Companion. Card number 1, Spirited Companion. Card number 2 is a fast land. And dead. Well, we didn't win, but at least we lost to an interesting deck in an interesting match. I'll give it that at least. We are trying to blink our way to victory with another round in Standard, and ooh, okay, another round hand. This hand looks sweet. I mean, this hand is kinda exactly how we drew it up, really. ETB 1-drop, ETB 2-drop, Elishnorn, another round. See what our opponent's up to, but we might be able to actually get some another round value. I feel like another round has potential to really pop off. We'll see if maybe this is a game. Maybe this is a game where we see the full power of another round if our opponent decides to play. Ooh, a mulliganing? Oh no, opponent. Mulliganing of 5? Are we about to get Troned? Is Tron being assembled? I used to be excited when my opponent, I mean, I don't know if I want to say excited, but I used to think my win percentage was increasing when my opponent mulligan. Now I just become more scared that they're trying to find a combo. I'm like, oh no, the more they mulligan, the more likely I am to die. Well, let's start with a Surveil land, and yeah, let's go Graveyard. We do have the Ambitious Farmhand, so we actually have kind of 4 lands in hand at the moment. Opponent Island, eh? Well, Novice Inspector, make a clue, and Restless Bivouac. Passing? Bant, could be like Bant Control. That's possible. There have been some people playing like Bant, Astral Cornucopia control pile. Well, let's do a little bit of ambitious farming. Oh, bring the ending. Okay. So it's Bant Toxic? We might keep. Do we want the Bivouac? It is Restless. Yeah, probably not. Well, yeah, probably not. We have enough lands, hopefully. Abundant land. And you know what's not very good at attacking through a Novice Inspector? That would be a Skrelv. Passes. More. Oh no. Are we going to regret not keeping that Bivouac? Well, let's crack the clue. See if we hit our land. For next turn. New. 5-drop. Ooh. Okay. Okay. We might be being punished. Maybe we should have just kept the Bivouac. Opponent untaps. Thankfully, our opponent's on the mall, and they're not doing anything super explosive. Their Skrelv is not a real problem. Opponent looking at their Phyrexia's core, although you can't use it yet. Or the Seed core. Can't use it yet because we are not toxic. Is this a punt from our opponent? I mean, we are going to block. If they got shenanigans, that's fine. They could... I don't know what makes this attack make sense. Oh, really? All right. Wow. Okay. So opponent pitching in a Ganjo to kill a Novice Inspector. That's a win for us, especially with our opponent on the mulligan. I think that is definitely a win. We're going to get lost of Skrelv. A lot of our opponents, like Experimental Augury, for example, a lot of our opponents' cards get better once we have a poison counter. So if we can avoid the first counter, there's a lot of value there. Well, we're gonna have to work for this land. Novice Inspector, crack the clue. Land, please. Ooh, The power of the bounce land. That's like drawing 2 lands almost. I think we can actually pick up the Surveil land. Next turn, we're probably just playing Elesh Norn anyway. So we can afford to Elesh Norn and then double Surveil. This Elesh Norn card pretty busted. 2 Surveils for a single land drop opponent. And Exentry, really not a fan of these Novice Inspectors. Opponent is spending a lot of real resources to deal with Novice Inspectors. Charge of the Mites, leaving it on top. Are we growing this entry? I mean, the nice thing about Elesh Norn is it has a really big butt. Like a 4/7, assuming double Surveil, assuming it lives, really hard to beat. I don't think we need our third another round. We need things to blink with another round, like more Novice Inspectors. Plus, Novice Inspector apparently great in this matchup because their opponent will spend all of their resources to kill them. They'll discard their lands, their Annex Sentries. Doesn't matter. They got to get rid of it. Opponent sees a Novice Inspector and just it's tilt mode. Novice Inspector, let us double it up. Opponent only has 1 unknown card in hand. Seems unlikely it can kill Elesh Norn, but all right. Novice Inspector, clues X2s, and yeah, let's crack a clue. Ooh, Spirited Companion's really nice. Really, really, really nice. That's what we want to see. Like, we have 2 another rounds in hand, and we got the Elesh Norn down, so we really just need ETB triggers. And we're starting to get there. Claim Jumper, even with our bounce land, probably not going to do it at the moment. Opponent can make a couple mites if they want to. Yeah, it looks like Charge of the Mites, sure. I mean, we're still at literally 0 poison at this point, which is a good place to be. Feeling pretty healthy. Oh, Feeding Hope. All right, sure. We definitely block. Yeah, I think let's block and block. We lose a Spirited Companion, which is a little obnoxious with all these in other rounds, but we get rid of both of the mites. We want to keep our poison low. All right, let's Elesh Norn and Sokensan. The other cute little trick with the bounce land is it does let us pick up our channel lands in the late game. Well, get in and hit you. I guess we're the aggro now. We have so many more cards in our opponent. Our life total super high, and I think our card quality is generally just better. Like, they got a lot of random synergistic toxic stuff. When we have more just like, here's a really big thing. Annex doesn't work, but they were trying to get rid of another Novice Inspector. If there wasn't an Elesh Norn, they would have spent 9 mana and 3 cards to deal with Novice Inspectors. Experimental Augury. Gonna do a little surveilling, or a little card anticipating? I guess it's anticipate. More importantly for our opponent, gonna do a little proliferating. But nothing turns on until our opponent gets to 3 poison counters, so we're still safe. Imagine no attacks, opponent's gonna pass. Well, we have all these blink effects and just nothing great to blink. I guess we can blink the Novice Inspector and just make a ton of clues. I mean, I guess let's do it. This is not exactly what I was dreaming when I was like, yeah, another round combo. Was hoping to have a couple more things on the battlefield, but let's blink our Novice Inspector twice with an Elesh Norn, 4 clues. I mean, long term, this is a lot of card advantage. Pass. So we really want more Spirited. What we really want at this point is just finishers, though. Like Terror of the Peaks, Tyrannicare Ridge, any of the big Dragon-y finishers. Venerated Rot Priest, that card is scary. Okay, a little less scary. Skrelv. There are ways where Venerated Rot Priest and what is the Blue March called? Whatever the Blue March is can just kill you. Well, let's crack the clue. Draw a card. It's a tap land. Kazul's Flanker A. I mean, I guess that's a okay blocker. Let's get down the flanker. Do a little scrying and life gaining. Ah, there we go. Okay, so a tally for next turn. And a tally, yeah, I don't think we want the ambitious farmhand. Now we can crack the clue. Draw the tally, play the land. And let's get rid of this Rot Priest just to make sure no shenanigans happen. This is the 3rd poison counter, so I guess you gotta spawn it. You can activate your seed cores, finally. I think we should be fine, though. We probably take a couple poison this turn, But the next turn, with a Tally, an Elesh Norn, and another round, things probably going to go pretty well, I imagine. Opponent just draws a land, cracks the map, gonna grow the Annex entry. Actually, just kidding. Hits a land. The other upside of getting down a Tally is it is a red creature, which is going to be relevant against Skrelv here, potentially giving things protection. Opponent cycles Spara Headquarters. You probably got to Skrelv and get in for something, right? I don't know how our opponent wins if they don't start just like Skrelving to get in a couple of poison counters. Like what is their plan? Okay, there we go. There's the Skrelv. In response to the map, gets in, it says. So up to 5 poison counters. However, there's good news, which is we get to play a land. We get to play a Tally. Spin it to win it, spin it to win it times 2, because we have an Elesh Norn into Terror of the Peaks and a Skrelv Hive. Okay, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Into all these Skrelv Hive and get lost on, I guess, the Skrelv. And now we get to see the real power of another round. Unfortunately, not enough mana to do it multiple times, but I think this is still just game. So blink everything. We'll leave the Terror of the Peaks. It all comes back in, and that's a lot of it's a lot of triggers. 4 to the face, 1 to the face, 3 to the face, 7 to the face, 4 to the face, and 1 to the face, and 3 to the face, and 7 to the face. I haven't counted that all up. I'm pretty sure that's going to be lethal. Oh, yes. I mean, this is what we wanted to do. This was basically the plan. Venerated Rotfree, Spirit. Our opponent's actually going to sit through this. More Terror of the Peaks triggers. Yeah, I mean, when Terror of the Peaks is double triggering with Elesh Norn and you blink your entire board, probably going to go pretty well. All right, opponent. Can you survive? I mean, I'm pretty sure the answer here is no. 15, 14. More Tally triggers for some reason. Ooh, another Terror of the Peaks and a Crawling Chorus. Ooh, Wanya. Oh, that's a lot of triggers. 5 ya. Oh yeah, we dealt. We could have killed our opponent a few times here, actually. Well, that was a good one. That's what we want to be doing with another round. Exactly that. Well, let's bring in more removal. Sweepers, artifact removal, knockout blows. Anything to just kill the toxic dorks, and I guess mostly trim Nihiri's Resolve. Nihiri's Resolve, really, really good against control decks, where we can dodge the Wrath. Not as good against aggro creature decks, because we often can't afford to blink out our board for our opponent's turn. Against aggro creature decks, another round's actually way better. Another round worse against control, since it's only sorcery speed and our opponent can just counter it. But Nihiri's Resolve, really good against control. Claim Jumper, I think, is going to be best against, like, ramp and control. The body's okay against aggro, but it's not exciting. Let's just run it like that. This looks like a 1-land 1-keeper. This looks like a 1-land 1-keeper. We got Novice Inspector on 1. On the draw, hit a land, Spirited Companion. When I'm making these decisions, I'm like, how much is YouTube going to yell at me? You know what? We're going to do it. I apologize, YouTube. I apologize. It's going to work, though. It's going to work. 1-land 1-keep. It always... Yes. Yes, that's land number 2. Okay, Novice Inspector. Block those Crawling Choruses. Never punish. Actually, very often punish, but this time never punish. Opponent, more Crawling Choruses. Can we just draw an untapped land, or is it too greedy to even ask for another land? An untapped land would... Ooh, Tyrant of Courage. I mean, Tyrant's really good with the combo loop. Like, blinking it with... another round, kinda busted. Crawling Chorus is annoying. Novice Inspector is so good, though. Like, we're seeing the power of Novice Inspector here. Just the extra toughness, being a 1-2 instead of a 1-1, is so incredibly relevant here. Although once Crawling Chorus dies, our opponent does get a replacement, so they can't start, like, just swinging through. I imagine they got their Seed Core again, so I imagine that they're gonna want to try to get us to 3 poison counters so we can start seed coring. No timeouts saved up either. Opponent, Skrelv Hive. I could see a world where that's an issue. Well, I mean, we are going to block. Get rid of Crawling Chorus number 1. Opponent going to get a Might. We do not draw land, but we have a Spirited Companion to draw. Oh, well, not a land, but Ambitious Farmhand is a land for next turn at least. Missing a land drop is awkward though. Why'd we keep that one lander? I blame you, YouTube. Why'd you make me do it? About it. Venerated Rot Priest. I think in some sense, y'all actually do make me do it because I think it's funny when people get riled up about me keeping one-landers. So maybe like subtly, it might incentivize me to keep more of them. I guess I might be victim blaming here. Let's Ambitious Farmhand, get a Plains. Drawing the Desert here is actually kind of perfect because that is 2 lands for the price of 1. That's part of the power of bounce lands, right? It is like drawing a card, and if you're missing land drops, it's like drawing that land that you desperately need. I think we're gonna pitch the Knockout Blow. The problem we have here is these Skrelvsives. That is a steady stream of 1/1 toxic creatures, and I just don't know how do we get around this? And there's a Rot Priest, which means our opponent could... What? Okay, opponent. Oh, they just really want to get us to 3. All right, so they storm to bounce their own Venerated Rot Priest to proliferate us up to 3 poison counters and replay the Rot Priest. That does turn on like their Seed Core and such. Well, we're gonna block and block and block. I'm telling you, this extra toughness on the Novice Inspector. If we win this game, which we probably won't, but if somehow we do, the fact that Novice Inspector is a 1/2 is probably going to be the reason why. Elegant Poller, we already get another round. I don't think we need another round at this point. We're just under a lot of toxic pressure here. What our opponent should, I think, do is like wait another turn to build up a bigger board and then start attacking. I don't know about just like swinging in with, wow, the very unpretentious main phase Seed Core activation. Well, I mean, that's kind of fine. Now we know we just blocked the 1/1s. We will take the 3. I mean, the real problem is the poison, right? I'm not super worried about dying to damage, although that might be famous last words. Let's play the land. Yeah, let's do some ambitious farming. I feel like our opponent has the counter here because they took that really weird line to get us to 3 poison. That line makes way more sense if they have the poison counter, binding the whatever, and are trying to turn that on. Then that line is very, very defensible. If they don't have that, it's very odd. Maybe they just really wanted to main phase their Seed Cores. Ambitious Farmer. I don't think you counter this anyway, do you? All right, I guess you do. Well, there goes the Ambitious Farmer. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna pass. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little mini another round. The upside of this is it turns the Combat Thresher into a 3/3 double striker. Plus, we draw a card and we get a clue. Being a 3/3 means we can block the thing our opponent pumps with the Seed Core and still kill it, which is kind of helpful. And we got the counter out of our opponent's hand. I mean, if we can actually resolve Tyrants and Terror of the Peaks, we're probably okay. Bone it. Oh, wow. You can instant speed Seed Core, right? I'm not missing something. You definitely can. Opponent. Big attack. Just kidding. Slightly bigger. See, if our opponent just waited, if they waited one more cycle of making 2 tokens, wouldn't that work out way better for them? Because right now they're sacrificing 2 creatures to get 1 poison counter. If they waited a turn, they're theoretically sacking 2 creatures to get in many more poison counters. Well, bone it. Like, that's the scary thing about Skrelvsive, is you can just go wide and go around our blockers, but our opponent is not doing that. We really might need to hit a Wrath. With 2 Seed Cores activated, if we lose a creature, we jump on Duelist. If we lose a creature, we kind of die, being at 5 poison. So rather than running out like a Tyrant or something, I think we're cracking clues here to hit a No Witness. I guess we could have Ganjo something. We can also channel and make a couple tokens to block if we need to. Attacks. Well, let's channel. Make a couple 1/1s. And we will block and block and block. So he takes 0. I can't believe our opponents had 2 Skrelvsives this whole game and we're not dead. I don't know how that's working for us. Crack the clue, draw a card. Surveil land. Ooh, Lauren. Lauren's actually kind of nice. Well, opponents tap down that they can't counter anything, so I think we probably just Tyrant and kill the Rot Priest. I think that's the card I'm still most worried about. Let's play the Surveil Land. Ooh, Nahiri's Resolve. The problem with Nahiri's Resolve here is we just can't afford to blink our stuff. Like, if we blink out our stuff during our opponent's turn, we're just going to die. Can we start attacking? I think we can get in for 3. We have enough blockers. Opponent. Oh, we got him down to 12-ish. Ooh, Skrelv to go with the Hive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, we can just run out of Terror of the Peaks, I guess. If we ever draw another round, I think we just win. Assuming our opponent doesn't have a counter, but we can just like Terror of the Peaks, blink everything. Going to pump the Double Striker. I don't also know why our opponent doesn't wait till after we declare blocks would probably be a little more effective, but pumps and pumps. So we block here, chump. Oh, knockout blow. All right. Well, the girl's a Tyrant. Oh, are we dying? Come on. Oh, that's not a Wrath. Well, let's Tear the Peaks. Untap land. This isn't bad. We can get down the Lauren. Tear the Peaks. Can snipe the Duelist. And then Lauren can kill the Skrelv. Back down to 14. Oh, our opponent's just gaining back a ton of life each turn with their toxic creatures. Yeah, we're not actually making much headway. I kind of forgot about the lifelink on the mites with the seed core is actually keeping our opponent in this game. I keep thinking, like, our opponent is taking so much damage. Why they're back at 20, but kind of makes sense now. Our opponent, they love that main phase seed core activation. And then even when they didn't main phase it, they still did it pre-blocks for some reason. Opponent with a big attack. Well, we will block and we will block. And, ooh, another Combat Thresher. Let's just Tear the Peaks. Ooh, all right. Bring the ending. That was a key draw. If our opponent didn't have that, I think they just lose. We can still Combat Thrasher. Snipe a Mite. Draw a card. Well, there's a No Witnesses. Might be a little bit late. Like, at this point, I mean, it's still good to have, right? It's still good to have the option. Do we just have to stand? Yeah, let's just stay on defense. It's still nice to have the option to Wrath. I don't think we just Wrath on this board the way this game's going. Third Skrelv Scythe. But if our opponent does ever get a threatening board, then we can just Wrath. Oh, God, that's an Atali. Atali! Spin it to win it. Also, a lot of Tear the Peaks damage. Can we spin into another round? Magic Gods. Ambitious Farm. And the Crawling Chorus. Really, though, with Tear the Peaks out, these are actually still great. So we have 7, 8, 9 direct damage. Yeah, I mean, we might as well just go face. Do we just have lethal here? Face, face, face. Remember, none of these mites can block. Like, they have the seed core to pump, but it doesn't do anything if you can't block. And I cannot believe we won this game. Triple Skrelv Hive with 2 of them being on the battlefield from like turn 3 or 4. I cannot believe I cannot believe we got there, but and then we did. And I mean, Tear the Peaks. I remember during spoiler season there was a question like, oh, is it still good? Yes, we were very happy, Magic Gods. Is it still good? Yes, it's still very good. Against the odds time, it is another round time, and we got to get lost. We have another round, and we do have a lot of cheap blinkable stuff in our deck that we could find. So hopefully this turns out okay in the end. Wow, opponent's going to 5. All right, opponent. Diamond Pickaxe, spicy. Oh, claim jumper on the draw. Maybe. Opponent. We might get the Rampage. We'll see. Opponent is playing cards I've never seen before. Nezumi Linebreaker. I do not know what's going on. I think we just pass and then I think we get lost the Linebreaker, not because we care about the Linebreaker, but we don't really want our opponent ramping with treasures. Opponent does get a 1/1, a Mercenary, and Swamp, and Map, and Land. Well, let's do some Ambitious Farm. I don't think we're just gonna... We can't just keep killing these things to stop the Diamond Pickaxe. That seems like a waste of removal. Well, grab the plains, pass the turn. Ambitious Farmhand's actually like a pretty good draw just because it does mean that, yeah, opponent, you get your treasure. It does mean that we have something to blink now with this another round. Cracks the map. Barb Servitor. Sure. Ooh, Spirited Companion too. Oh, this might end up being a good another round game. Well, let's claim jump, and we finally did it. Success. It happened. Elegant Baller found. We ramped with the rabbit. Hit ya. Busted. Actually, we're still probably cutting it. Ooh, Archfiend to the Dross. Well, good thing we have a removal spell for that, or we'd be in trouble. I think we can trade this claim jumper. It is unlikely to ramp again. We do get drained a bit. So now we can, like, Spirited Companion. Ooh, Spirited Companion, draw a card. Into, all right, Ambitious Farmhand, get a land, and then kill the Archfiend. We might be setting up for, we're gonna wait and see if they try to equip the pickaxe, get a little more value out of this. Attacking for one isn't super relevant. We might be able to get a pretty good another round here. No equip, goes to combat, gets in. Well, we will get lost the Archfiend to the Dross. Is it Servitor time? Barb Servitor. And wow, Deadly Complication. Opponent actually, we tried to do this when we played Barb vs. Servitor and we could not make it work. Come on, Spirited Companion into a land, untapped. Yes, all right. Well, we have two another rounds. Let's cash in one to get some value here. X1, blink, blink, blink. So draw 4, blink everything again. Draw 4, get, well, probably one land. I think we only have 4 planes, right? So I think the second one's gonna fizzle. Still, that's pretty good value for 5 mana. Grab the planes. And then next time, I mean, another round. All right, we're we're in a pretty good spot for these another rounds. We might be able to like a tally into another round the turn after, and that's gonna be kind of the dream. It's probably just game. Our opponent probably just scoops, honestly. Opponent gonna equip the pickaxe, go to combat, hit us. We will take the 3. Yep, opponent gets the draw. And lose a life down to 18. And another Barb Servitor. Well, that is fine. I think it is time to spin it to win it with this Atali. Yeah. Atali. Spin it to win it, spin it to win it. We find... Ooh, Corrupted Conviction and another round so good. That's kind of the dream hit. That is the dream hit, finally. All right, we'll cash in this Ambitious Farmhand, not really doing anything anymore. Draw a couple cards, another round, blink, blink, blink. That means 2 more cards and another Atali trigger. Atali, oh God, burn down the house. Nahiri's Resolve. That gives everything haste. Burn down the house. 1/1s get pumped by Nahiri's Resolve. Oh, it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's lethal. I think, right? Am I miscounting this? I think that's 18. And that's a combo kill. Another round into Atali, into another round, into Nahiri's Resolve. And GG, Barb Servitor, GG. Well, that went pretty well. I don't even know what we went against our opponent's deck. They are on some sort of wild Rakdos brew, I guess. Atali hitting another round is kind of spectacular. And then getting the Nahiri's Resolve too. The Vindicator seems decent. That's a way we can actually deal with the Barb Servitors, which seem to be a big part of our opponent's plan. Claim Jumper, I know you did it, but still, we're gonna do a little trimming. Maybe we just run it like that. Take a light hand. On to game number 2, we will be on the draw, and this hand seems pretty fine. Seems like the kind of hand our deck gets. Bunch of farming, little card draw, a big dragon, another round. Opponent, Raccoon Theater leaves it on top. Well, we will match your Scry land, or Surveillance land, with one of our own. I think we keep the Get Lost. We have plenty of lands here. Ooh. Desperate Bloodsucker. Well, there goes our removal spell. That's kind of annoying. We did want to, that's one thing this hand doesn't have, is any actual removal, especially in the early game. Opponent. I don't know what our opponent's up to. They are playing an odd mixture of cards. Found it. Kills our thing. Virtue Persistence. We will, I guess we just double up here. Plains, Novice Inspector, get a clue. Do some ambitious farming, get a Plains. We are going to want another mountain at some, or another red source at some point. Preferably soon. Oh god. Well, that's kind of an issue. We are going to double block. Yeah, that's why we really wanted that Get Lost. Now there's an Archfiend that we need to find a way to beat. How do we do this? I guess we just Combat Thresher. We need to just draw into a removal spell. Spirited Companion. All right, card draw into more card draw. Pick up the Plains. No attacks. So we have like 2-ish turns to find a way to deal with this Archfiend. I mean, I guess we can chump block with a Terror of the Peaks or something, but that feels pretty bad. Opponent looks, passes. Play the red source. I think we are going to Terror of the Peaks. One way we could deal with this Archfiend is Terror of the Peaks into Tyranny of Ridge. That would actually be enough damage to kill it. I'll hit you at 23, Terror of the Peaks. How about no removal, opponent? I know you haven't been doing anything, but yeah. Opponent has a go for the throat, kills the terror, drains us. Well, we might be dead this turn. Archfiend is kind of a clock, isn't it? Opponent hits us. Well, we need to draw removal right now. Down to 1 from the crime land. Well, crack the clue, draw a card. It is not removal. Play the land, Spirited Companion. We need the Get Lost. And more card draw. Well, we drew a lot of cards. You know what actually really got us that game was that milling. That Get Lost being milled by the random Bloodsucker that no one plays actually was super relevant. Well, I guess now that we saw that, bringing in more ways to deal with an Archfiend, probably going to be necessary. Bringing the Sweeper, a little bit more removal, running like that. Well, on to game 3, we're on the play, which is good. Oh, 1 land, 1 keep. 1 land, 1 keep. We're on the play. If we were on the draw, I would snap keep this. We only need 1 land to get to the farmer. We got removal, but on the draw, okay, this is a fine 6. We can put the most expensive card to the bottom and just run it like this. We got a bunch of card draw. Opponent gonna crime us. Well, Spirited Companion, draw a card. Another round. But not a land. Land and Caustic Bronco. Well, let's just Novice Inspector. And also Novice Inspector. And play the bounce land. And pass the turn. I mean, we should be able to double block the Bronco, right? Opponent gonna go attacking. I think we just double block with the Novice Inspectors. Maybe we should triple block. If they have removal, though, and they use it on a Novice Inspector, I feel like that's kind of a win. Yeah. All right, go for the throat. So this does kill both Inspectors. Yeah, maybe we should just triple block to make sure we killed it. Maybe that was too greedy. Well, play the land. Now we're probably going to have to spend a removal spell on the Bronco. We could face down the Vindicator. Probably better to kill the Bronco and draw a card with the clue. See what we hit here. Another Plains. Well, all right. We'll just pass. Set a stop. I do think we got to kill it. We don't want it to just snowball. Yeah, kind of regretting not throwing this Bearded Companion in there, too. The Companion is what we want to keep the most for another round, though, because that's the, like, straight-up no-mana card draw. So we do have a big incentive to keep it, but might have been greedy. Well, Bronco down. Please not. Okay, another Bronco. I mean, that's annoying. Archfiend of the Dross would have been even more annoying. Hopefully this Vindicator can do some work. Spirited Companion. Well, let's Spirited Companion. Draw a card. We're setting up for a really nice another round next turn. That's probably the big swing in this game, I think. We can play the Vindicator face down. Pass the turn. So next turn we can another round X1 draw 4. Could flip the Vindicator if we wanted to. Opponent mountain. And goes combat, gets in. Draws a ton of bones. All right. Well, down to 17. What do you got, opponent? What do you... Oh, that's really bad for us. Burn down the house. Well, crack the clue. So there is a problem with another round, and that is the problem we're going to see right now, which is if we can't keep creatures on the battlefield, it does literally nothing. We went from having a really nice another round to having 2 dead cards in hand. Barbed Servitor. And a Tiny Bones. Well, let's channel this Suckins on. Get a couple 1/1s. Yeah, I guess we have to Ambitious Farmhand first. Get a Plains. Into Elesh Norn. We still don't really have anything really worth blinking. We need, like, a Spirited Companion. We do get to chip in for 1 here. Can't block with the Servitor. We do want something to block the Tiny Bones. All right, are they playing off-color crime lands just to commit crimes? Seriously need a Spirited Companion. We can't even cast our double red stuff. We've farmed out a lot of planes. Still only 1 red source. All right, opponent, what do you got? Goes to combat. Well, we're definitely gonna block the Tiny Bones. Oh, Servitor's got Menace. All right. Servitor is basically going to be a Phyrexian Arena here, I think. It is just going to draw a card every turn. They must have some sort of shenanigan for the Servitor, right? You don't just play Servitor fairly. Oh dear. Oh dear, that's a Virtue of Persistence. Well, Novice Inspector, that is 2 clues. We really need to find a way to deal with this Virtue now. Draw another Farmhand, which is pretty bad here. I mean, thankfully there's nothing absurd to reanimate. Let's get in, hit you down to 11, crack the clue. And, well, Sanctuary Warden is good for the future. We are going to play the Farmhand just to have another body on the battlefield. I mean, technically, in theory, we're kind of winning the race, although this Virtue of Persistence is going to let our opponent build a board. Opponent. Oh, come on now. Oh. Well, Elesh Norn stops the crime land. Sweeper number 2, Path of Peril. Oh, that's really, really bad. Opponent gets and hits us. Marchesa. So opponent's playing a lot of creatures and a lot of sweepers. Well, Sanctuary Warden. We do have an Elesh Norn down. We're definitely drawing a card. I don't know if we can afford to draw 2 cards. Oh, Destroy Evil. Oh, so if we hit a land, we just blow up the Virtue and life is good. But if we don't hit a land, then they can kill the Sanctuary Warden and steal it. That would be really bad. All right, we're just gonna pass. We also really would like it to live because it is a decent another round target. It's like a 6-mana Spirited Companion. But it does have flying, so we can shut down this Vindicator at least. Let's see what our opponent steals here. Boy, those sweepers. The first one got us good. The second one also got us good. Wrath Tribal over their opponent. I don't know what to think of our opponent's deck. It's kind of working at the moment. I'll give it that. It is working. Gix's Command. I guess we should have just drawn with that Sanctuary Warden because it was going to die anyway. That's unfortunate. There's not a ridiculous amount of removal spells that kill a Sanctuary Warden with a shield counter on it. Opponent gets in, draws a card. We're down to 8, and yeah, this is looking kind of sketchy. I mean, we do have removal for the Virtue. March of Wretched... Alright, janked us out. Alright, Claim Jumper. This is your chance. We have the Claim Jumper. We have the Bounce Land. This is basically it. Either Claim Jumper ramps us this game, or it's coming out. It's your last chance, Rabbit. It is your last chance. It would be cool if Claim Jumper was good. We'll see. We are on the play, which is worse for Claim Jumper than being on the draw. Yeah, we'll keep the Get Lost. Having a little removal, never a bad thing. Opponent to Esper, maybe? We can, without discarding. Yeah, let's pick it up. Opponent. Island, and passes. Well, play the land. And Spirited Companion, draw a card. We do have 2 another round, so just getting things on the battlefield that we can blink is good. All right, there's a tap land. Wow, this might be it. This might be it. Opponent passes down to 19 and do a little claim jump in. Is it happening? Did we successfully ramp with a claim jumper? Took us, what, 4 matches to get there? But we got, and even more than that with the ones I played with out recording. Come on, claim jumper. Come on. You got it, buddy. All right. It would have ramped. It got countered. Opponent has Phantom Interference. I don't think we can hold that against the claim jumper, though. It would have done its job, but our opponent, apparently a control deck that has a bunch of counters. And passing. We're not playing any Cavernous Souls in this deck. In theory, we could. The thing is, like, we're another round deck, right? And Cavern doesn't help us resolve another round, so I don't know if it's actually necessary. Play the creature land, pass the turn. We need our double red mana for future Terror of the Peaks and such. Well, our opponent might just be straight up Dimir control here. Looks like a Crim deck to me. Opponent does a little Memory Delusion, draws some cards, plays a land, and passes. Leaves up a counter spell. Duress. Well, did they take the Get Lost or did they take another round? I guess it depends on if they actually care about resolving creatures this game. Control decks might not. All right, they take the Get Lost. So our opponent might want to resolve something. They also know our hand now, which is a drawback. That means our opponent knows there's like Terror of the Peaks, a tally that they need to counter. Well, pass the turn. And now what is the question? Play the land. Let's just Terror. I think the way we got to get... It's not like we have a Duress we can draw or a counter to win a counter war. So I think we just have to like cast our things, you know, into the 3 steps ahead. And hopefully eventually run our opponent out of counters. Another Spirited Companion would be kind of cute. And then we could just like another round to try to draw some cards. Opponent is down to 3 cards in hand. Another Terror of the Peaks. Well, they could fire up the creature land. Do we want them to fire up the creature land? And let's just Terror the Peaks. Terror number 2, opponent. Are we out of counters yet? Okay, Urtai. That's a good sign that our opponent is running out of counters. I think Urtai is often the last counter you want to use because it lets us draw a card. So I imagine they're out of the other options if they're using Urtai, which might mean a tally resolves. Actually, if they Field of Ruin our bounce land, that would put us off a tally next turn, theoretically. If we don't draw an untap land, opponent gonna get in with the Urtai. I mean, I guess it could also be that our opponent's like, I really want to start pressuring. Kaido Shizuki. All right. Well, I mean, they draw a card. Please don't be a counter. Deep. Oh, no. Opponent. All right. There goes our tally. Ooh. Okay, we draw another Spirited Companion, though, and the shields are down. Well, we're going to do the another round card draw plan here. Another round, X1, blink 'em, blink 'em. ETBs again, blink 'em, blink 'em. I mean, 5 mana draw 4, pretty good. Not bad. Get a bunch of Spirited Companion triggers. There's another Atali. Ooh, boy, okay. I mean, maybe we can just grind our opponent down here. Like, somehow, against Dimir control with Memory Deluges and Kaidos, we are currently winning the card advantage war. As odd as that is, we are actually winning the card advantage war. Opponent, we're going to take the beats. And opponent draws a card. So it's a good turn to cast something counterable, I think. Because if our opponent does nothing, they can Memory Deluge. We can just try to jam the Atali. Opponent only has 3 cards in hand. We could try to jam the Atali. Could play Tyrant. Play Tyrant and we can pay for some counters. Now play the land. Play the Tyrant. This gets around some of the counters we've seen, but not all of them. Ooh, resolves. Okay. I think we got to get rid of this Kaido if we can. Get rid of the card advantage engine. Number of cards in hand is pretty important against control. Like, that's how control wins normally, right? Is eventually they just run you out of resources and then they win somehow. All right, Memory Deluge from hand. I mean, this should mean Kaido dies, right? Unless they find like double cut down or something. Cut down, go for the throat. So we should get rid of the Kaido. And eventually we can another round again. And another round keeps getting better the more creatures we add to the battlefield. Well, Kaido down. And Let's play another Spirited Companion. Draw a card. Our opponent could find a Wrath, but if they Wrath, we hopefully get to resolve in a tally or two. Get Lost is not horrible. Get Lost, we can get rid of the bat maybe to get back our tally. What do you got? Do you have the Wrath? Our opponent really probably needs to sweep here, I think. Opponent. Surveil Land. I mean, I guess they're not dead if they don't sweep, because we are playing a lot of 1/1s. Because they know we have another round. I mean, I guess if they have a counter for another round, it's fine. But if we get to another round this board, wow, Intimidation Campaign, sure. Oh, what do we do? A Ganjo. Man, there would be such a sweet another round if we could resolve it. It's even sweeter with a tally if we can resolve that. We can get in with the Tyrant at least. Let's get in with the Tyrant, see if our opponent kills it. That would eat into their mana a bit if they do. Opponent. All right, opponent gonna take the 4. All right, well, they didn't use any mana. I guess we have enough mana that we can mini another round, see if that makes our opponent counter. And then if they do, we can a tally. If they don't, I mean, this is great for us. We draw 3, kill something with the Tyrant, get another clue. So this is definitely good enough to, all right, there's the 3 steps ahead. Sure. So another round, still doing its job, even though it's getting countered, because that clears away for an Atali. Imagine if we Atali into another round. Well, play the Ganjo, get down a tally, spin it to win it, spin it to win it into, oh boy, okay. Phantom Interference, which we can't actually cast because we need mana. That's a whiff. Because those Flanker is actually not bad here, just because it is going to get rid of both of these Memory Deluges, which was generating a lot of value for our opponent. They had a lot of card draw left. Memory Deluge number 3. Just keep deluging. 1, 2, 3. Opponent has enough mana for a Deadly Cover-Up if they can find it. That's got to be what they're looking for. I guess the other question is, do we try to flip a tally if it lives? The problem with trying to flip a tally is it is like our turn essentially, and if our opponent kills it, we spend our turn doing nothing. Although, what else are we spending our turn doing next turn? Cracking a clue, I guess? Our opponent's graveyard is empty, so if they do have Deadly Cover-Up, we get back the Italian under the bat. They can't exile it. Let's surveil. We got a clue, so we can see what's on top and then draw it if we want to. Elesh Norn. Not the time, I don't think, for Elesh Norn. I think we just, push with the team. All right, opponent. Math is for blockers. You figure it out. And if they do have removal, we can potentially, kill the bad Atali again. Atali spinning into another round. Kind of the dream. Ooh, Urtai. Okay, this is fine. Opponent going to Legend Rule themselves, play another Urtai, kill the Atali. Good thing we didn't try to flip it. And so our opponent's not dead. We draw even more lands. I mean, I guess they can bat block. It gives us back the Atali, but maybe they want us to Atali if they found a sweeper. Well, all right. We get back our Atali, and spin it to win it, spin it to win it. Atali number 2 into a Get Lost, which is pretty bad, and a Kaido, which is not that bad. I think we actually are going to get lost a Spirited Companion here. I think we'd rather have the map tokens than a 1/1. Well, get the Kaido. Take it up, draw a card.
Get out. Easy.
Ooh, all right. Sanctuary Warden. Okay, now we're in a pretty good spot if our opponent does have a sweeper. If our opponent sweeps, at least we still have... Oh, we're in a great spot. If our opponent sweeps, we have Tear the Peaks into Sanctuary Warden, and we still have the Kaido Shizuke. What is the information campaign? The bad disinformation campaign. The original was actually kind of strong, but it made your opponent discard. This one seems less strong. Although, I guess it's way easier to commit a crime than it is to surveil. Pretty much every deck is going to commit a crime at some point, but most decks might not be surveilling. Just naturally, most decks won't have surveil. Virtue of Persistence. Well, that's not a sweeper, so that's kind of fine. And Intimidation Campaign. Yup. If this is all you're doing, what is our opponent hoping? That we try to flip Atali and kill it or something? Well, we draw the Tear the Peaks. We're just going to swing. If our opponent has removal, 8, 12, 13, 14. Gonna fire up the Risen Reef. Oh, well, that's easy game then. Get lost, you Risen Reef. And then all we gotta do is pump the Tyrant a bit, and looks pretty lethal to me. Well, that went kind of well. Opponent had a million counters, but they never found a sweeper. And really, if you look back on it, what one is this game? I know we played an Italian, I know we played a Tyrant, blah, 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 blah. when it comes down to it, it was that turn where another round draws 4 cards with the Spirited Companions. That gave us the card advantage we needed to get ahead of our opponent after they countered all of our stuff. So I actually think that was pretty much another round win. Well, Claim Jumper, you almost did it. We're still going to cut at least some of you. Elesh Norn's not great against control. Like, they don't really have, well, actually they do have some ETBs, but it just dies so easily. It might be better against our opponent's build of control than some builds, like straight up Esper control. At least our opponent's got bats and Urtais, which it hits. Yeah, I guess we just do a little trimming. Finding how to get these last 4 cards is gonna be tricky. The interrupters seem really good though. Flanker, like the flash stuff is good in general. We might go down another round. Another round is at its weakest against a counterspell heavy control deck. I don't think we can get away with cutting a land. Too greedy. 23 is already low, although we do have all the ambitious farm hands. We really want, against control, that's where you can never cut Nahiri's Resolve. Nahiri's Resolve, straight up bomb against control. Probably our best card against control. I guess we can go down the Combat Thrasher, maybe a Spirited Companion. Yeah, close enough. We got more 2-drops thanks to Invasion of Gabakhan, so hopefully that gives us something to do early. Flipping a Gabakhan also insane against Dimir. Ooh, all right. We got our flash stuff. Let's see how good our flash plan is against this control deck opponent. Tap land. Well, Elegant Pauler. Do we keep a Terror of the Peaks? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Terror of the Peaks also kind of medium against control, but it is one of our best finishers with the combo plan. Let's do some ambitious farming. Snag a plains and go. About it. Wow, gonna kill the farmer. Okay. Oh, our opponent's missing land drops. Oh, this might be even easier than we realized. If our opponent doesn't hit their land drops, they are kind of in trouble. Opponent, come on, opponent. You can do it. Land number 2. Oh, opponent passes. So the problem for our opponent is, and it's getting worse, if we play this Nahiri's Resolve, I don't think Dimir can win. Opponent, they do hit their land, so I get to play Magic. I mean, we're kind of hoping they try to cast something, because we really just want to get down this Nahiri's Resolve. Dimir can't really get it off the battlefield, and then their Wraths are dead, and our team is bumped, and it has haste, and it blinks with Terror of the Peaks. Wow. I mean, opponent's got to do it. Do we even care about interrupting this? I don't even think we do. Let's just play the flanker. Play the flanker, do a little scrying, gain a little life. I guess both of these are fine. Well, Nahiri's Resolve it is, and I imagine this is most likely game. Unless our opponent has some weird card I'm not thinking of. Not sure how they stop this. Down to 16. End of turn, blink of both. And here you go, opponent. Let's see that. Feed the Swarm. There's not even Feed the Swarm in standard. They need one of the janky black enchantment removal spells opponent. They kind of had to tap out last turn to try to draw land off the information campaign, but they did not hit it. Opponent. Oh, Tidebinder. Okay. I mean, that is actually a answer-ish, but we do have a Aven Interrupter here to make sure that's not a problem. And that actually answers it forever, right? Like, Tidebinder, they can still cast it next turn, but it's not going to counter anything because you got to do a sorcery speed. And we'll get rid of the graveyard in case eventually you get to 7 mana. Ooh, another Interrupter. Do we have lethal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh boy, we're like just short. All right. Well, get in, hit ya. Since we don't have lethal, we might as well just hit you down to 7, blink the team. Leaving up this Interrupter, I think, is the seal deal pretty much. I mean, our opponent being stuck on 3 lands really is making it tough for the control deck to do much of anything. I don't even know what they could have. Like, what can you... Oh, they hit land number 4. It's just too late. Like, stumbling on land's so brutal. I feel like stumbling on lands, and I think this is reflected in deck building, where people are playing more and more lands. Like, I've started to try to play 25 lands in most decks, rather than 24. But stumbling on lands is way more painful than it was in the past. Cards are so snowbally. In the past, you could sometimes stumble and then catch back up. Not anymore. Opponent. We got more Tidebind action? No. Aren't you just dead then? All right. So we will do a little flanking, do a little scrying, gain a little life. Land and land. Yeah, I guess we'll draw. We don't mind hitting a land for the turn. Creature land's pretty good. So draw an extra card. Draw for the turn. Arid Archway. Well, let's do a little thrashing. And we still have the Interrupter up, so this should just do it. Draw a card. Invasion of Gobakon. Opponent, Urtai, and we will interrupt. And that should be the game. And, well, that last game, a little bit about our opponent stumbling on mana. The first one, though, we did get to see another round kind of pop off. So what did we learn this week about another round in Standard? And overall, we went 4-2 with the deck, which is pretty reasonable. The deck can do some really, really sweet things. Like, another round, we got to see it throughout our games. Like, it's either incredibly explosive in straight up game winning, or when things go really badly, it can also be a dead card. We saw that against some control decks that just had a bunch of Wraths, and we'd like build a board and they just sweep it, and then we'd build a board, they just sweep it, and we'd be stuck with like 2 or 3 another rounds in hand. Because remember, the downside of another round, if we don't have any creatures to blink, it just doesn't do anything at all. So it is kind of a risky card, but good lord, the good games with this deck, we got to see just some ridiculous stacks of triggers, ridiculous amounts of damage. We even got to do the like a tally, hit another round, blink everything again. It was so sweet. I will say, the one card in this deck that I think's gotta go, unfortunately, is Claim Jumper. I had all these great ideas about like Claim Jumper was going to be a ramp spell, and we'd use the bounce land to pick up a land, and then Claim Jumper would ramp us a bunch, and we'd get to our big stuff really fast. In practice, I played a bunch of games with this deck, and I think we eventually managed to ramp with Claim Jumper a single time. It's just really not consistent enough, and if we're not ramping with Claim Jumper, it's just not good enough. It's a 3/3 for 3, which isn't like pitiful or anything, but not good enough to see you play. So if we're only ramping with this once every, I don't know, 12, 18, 20 games, I think we could probably just use that slot on something better. So Claim Jumper, even with the bounce land, kind of flopped. Otherwise, the deck's really sweet. It just does huge, splashy, sweet Panharmonicon Blink things. So if you like value-y Blinky style decks, it's a really fun deck to play. So that's another round. That's been our Against the Odds for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.